Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is really a delight to be here, and I would be remiss if I didn't start by saying thank you so much to Karen for the great work that you've been doing. We've been going back and forth by email, and she's been making sure all the speakers get here and so on. And I also want to thank Gary Amanoff. Whenever I'm in LA County, I just do whatever Gary Amanoff says, and it keeps me out of trouble. And I want to thank all of you for taking the time to not be outside. The weather's great, by the way, and to be in here, by the way, focusing on the future of California. And thank you, Larry, for all the work that you put in to organizing the panel. I wanted to start today by actually disagreeing, now that I've praised you, Karen, I want to disagree with the premise of the program, and that is the destruction of California. I don't think California's been destroyed whatsoever. I think California is the greatest place in America to live. Does anyone here want to live somewhere else? No, we love California, and as conservative leaders, we can't go out with a message that say, California sucks, elect us to lead it. Right? That doesn't work particularly well. We love this state, and we have to demonstrate our love for this state. Our government is terrible. Our state is wonderful, and we have to make clear in that distinction. California government can and should do better. We see examples of that every single day, and we as conservative leaders have to provide solutions to the problems that are facing Californians every day. And every time we have an election is an opportunity for us to elect more conservatives who will go to Sacramento and put conservative ideas into action. We do not elect conservatives to put Democrats into action, to put Democrat ideas in action. That's why I'm so disappointed that 7 Republicans signed off to extend this ridiculous, bad cap-and-trade program in California. That is not a conservative idea. It is not a free market idea. And by the way, it has nothing to do with the environment. Cap and trade has nothing to do with the environment. Cap and trade is not going to change the climate of the planet. Cap and trade is about spending, which is why the Democrats are so interested in generating more streams of revenue that they can then allocate according to their vision for the future. So 2018 is an opportunity for us to elect more conservatives in office. And as I look forward to 2018, on behalf of the Republican Party and the conservative movement, I'm most concerned in 3 particular areas, because these areas directly impact our ability to win these elections. The first area is branding, the second area is messaging, and the third area is in operations. Our candidates have to be ideally suited in these 3 areas in order to even be competitive in a state today. Let's remember that when Ronald Reagan was elected President of the United States in 1980, California had half the Latino population it has today. It only had 1/3 of the Asian population that it has today. So in order to be competitive statewide, we have to do better among people who don't look like me. We're doing great among people who look like me. Tall, blonde, good-looking, like we're doing very, very well, but we're not doing as well in other groups. And I want to give you a stark example of the challenge that we face in the area of branding going forward. So we have the Republican brand nationally does extremely well. You can look at both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue and the Supreme Court to see the result of that. We have a Republican Senate, we have a Republican House, and we have a Republican control of the White House. The Republican brand nationally does very well, and brands are defined nationally. We can see what's happened with the redefining of political parties in what's happened in my lifetime in the Northeast and in the South. So in my lifetime, the South has gone from reliably Democrat to reliably Republican. The South used to be called the Solid South, meaning the solidly Democratic South. The South has gone from Democrat to Republican, and the Northeast, by and large, has gone from Republican to Democrat in my lifetime. Why is that? Is that because the state parties in all those southern states became brilliant, and then the state parties in the Northeast were just run by a group of idiots? No, that's not true at all. The parties realigned. The Republican Party became a clearly conservative party, and so the conservative parts of the country moved in our direction. If you take a look at the counties where President Trump most overperformed Mitt Romney, in other words, where in the country did Donald Trump do better than Mitt Romney by the most? If you take a look at a color-coded graph of the United States, what you'll find is if you go from Maine to Kentucky, so the Northeast and Appalachia, but not on the coast, right? Maine to Kentucky, and then from Kentucky north to Minnesota. That's where President Trump most outperformed Mitt Romney. And it's because of that that he won states like Ohio and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and he might be the only Republican who in the current environment was able to win those states. And so we're very glad that he did. If you take a look at the counties where he most underperformed Mitt Romney, it's the Southwest. It's right here. So in the last election, President Trump won 31% of the vote in California. 31%. The last time a Republican presidential candidate won under 32% of the vote in California was 1936. Okay, that was 80 years ago. In terms of our numbers in the legislature, we are at our lowest point since 86. 1886. The last time Democrats held every statewide office and had supermajorities in the California legislature, like what we see today, was as a result of the Chester A. Arthur midterm election of 1886. So this is where we start. So when we look forward, we have to recognize the importance of that brand, which is defined nationally, is going to impact all of our candidates. I can tell you why that brand is so important. It's particularly important for our down-ticket Republicans running in the state, because nobody knows who those candidates are. When I was the Republican nominee for Lieutenant Governor of California in 2014. And I can tell you that I was in Solvang, and I was sitting at the bar at Pea Soup Anderson's, which you have to go to if you're passing through there, right? And I was sitting at the counter, and I was dressed similar to this, and the waitress came to, "Oh, so what brings you into town, oddly dressed man?" She didn't say, but that's what she was thinking. And I said, "Well, I'm the Republican nominee for Lieutenant Governor of California." "Oh, Lieutenant Governor, is that like in the military or in the police or something?" Like, that's what she said. The truth is that the down-ticket Republicans running for every office below governor are not known, the Democrat candidates nor the Republican candidates. What people know is that party label. I got 3.1 million votes running for Lieutenant Governor, not because they knew who Ron Nehring was, but because they voted for the Republican. And so that brand has a huge and powerful impact all up and down the ballot, except for local office. Except for local office, because when you run for local office, the party label is not there, which, by the way, which means that in heavily Democratic areas, we have the best opportunity to elect Republicans, because the party label is not a factor. So the brand has an impact. Number two is messaging. We have to recognize that we must have solutions and be seen as credible on issues such as education, healthcare, and the environment. Now, a lot of our candidates who've not gotten messaging training, who've not been trained to effectively communicate, might say something like this to a Democrat audience. "I think it's very important that we have clean air and clean water. That's very important. Everybody knows that. But we have to make sure that we don't destroy jobs, blah, 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 blah." Now, whenever you say "but," you are negating everything you just said. So we have to be the leaders on issues such as environmental protection, genuine issues related to environmental protection, protecting the air, protecting the water, protecting the soil, so on and so forth. We're the party of law and order. Shouldn't we be the party that leads in terms of law enforcement when it relates to people who are dumping toxins into the water and who pollute industrial sites and so on and so forth? Shouldn't we be able to lead on that issue, or should we just concede that to the left? We have to be able to lead on issues related to health care. We have to be able to lead on issues relating to education and the like. And number three is our statewide candidates need to have campaign operations that are far superior to what the Democrats can put on the field. When I was Ted Cruz's presidential campaign spokesman in 2016, my day started at about 4 in the morning. I would typically go on CNN Today or CNN New Day or some other program. At 7:30 a.m. we had our first communications call. Talked about what our messaging was that day. At 8:30 a.m. Senator Cruz joined the call. We were talking about our messaging for the day. By 10 a.m. we were doing our first event. By 11 a.m. we had our talking points for the day going out to 200 surrogates across the country. At noon we had our national surrogates conference call. Every single day, 200 surrogates. In the afternoon, we were back to doing events, and then in the evening, we were back on television pushing our message. I have to tell you that it requires a sophisticated operation to be able to compete, not only for president, but to run statewide in California as well, because it's just like a presidential campaign. Now ask yourselves this: how many statewide candidates in California are capable today of putting together an operation that, in a sophisticated manner, can reach people down into the neighborhood level across the state, in every targeted state, can have the data operation necessary? Let me just give you a point on data before I run out of time. The Mitt Romney campaign, using its data at the time in 2012, had segmented voters into 11 different buckets based upon a variety of data that was available: what type of magazines people subscribe to, what type of cars you own, so on and so forth. 11 different buckets. You know how much the data and the science has changed today? In the Cruz campaign, by the time our campaign was done on May 3rd, we had voters placed into 1,078 different buckets. Wow. And we then knew which group was likely to not go with us, which, by the way, Subaru owners, very liberal. Just want to tell you right now, if you are a conservative Subaru owner, you are a true minority. So I look forward to the remainder of the discussion. I will just say this in my 1 minute remaining. I don't really have a minute, but I'll say it anyway. We need candidates that are better prepared. We need candidates who are not just reliant upon political consultants, but we need candidates to be good consumers of campaign services. They have to be independently trained. Number two, we need our Republican Party to be even better organized, particularly when it comes to rapid response communications and the like. Every single day we should be hitting Gavin Newsom. Every single day we should be hitting Antonio Villaraigosa, John Chung, everyone else on the Democrat side, even thinking about running for state office. We should be stripping the bark off of them every single morning, and the media should be getting in their inbox what our messaging points are for the day, because we should be setting the table for the Democrats instead of having them set the table for us. Number three, we need to field good, quality, well-trained, principled conservative candidates for every single local government office in this state. School board, fire board, water board, city council, mosquito abatement district, you name it. We should not trust Democrats in any single one of those offices or with sharp objects. We should field and back up those candidates in the next election. And then finally, we should repeal this ridiculous, stupid top two primary. This Prop 14 needs to go. It was said that it would increase voter choice. When your choice for U.S. Senate is Kamala Harris or a Democrat opponent, so you can vote for either vanilla or French vanilla, that's not a choice whatsoever. We need to ensure that every major party has the right to place a candidate on the general election ballot to maximize the choices that Californians have in the election. My name's Ron Nehring. Please follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much.